do want to say just welcome to Freedom to all those who are here, maybe for the first time in a long time. And we're just so glad to see you. And a big welcome to all the men and women who are going to be watching this at the Boone County Jail. Come on, can you give it up for them? We love you guys. I want to take a second and talk about small groups. Small groups kick off this week, like today. And this week, whenever the groups meet, you can log on to welcometofreedom.church and you can find a group that is right for you. But we're going to talk, as you can see, there's some stools up here today. It's not just going to be me. We're going to talk a little bit about groups and people and finding your group. But there's one group that I really want to highlight today, and that is our large group. So we do small groups, but we started something this year called large groups, because here's what we know, that sometimes it's even a little intimidating to just show up to a small group of people. And so we threw out this idea, we really had this vision for large groups that would happen here at Freedom that are a very easy en route for people to get connected with some other groups of people, so that you can kind of blend in a little bit, but also still surround yourself with people. And the large group for this semester is really cool. It's called Let's Talk About It. We need to talk about some stuff. And here's what this group is. I love this idea. It is basically what we talk about on Sunday, you're going to talk about more in depth at this small group. Because a lot of times I throw questions out and I want you to chew on some stuff and evaluate some stuff, and stuff is stirring in your heart even after the message. And so at this group, which you'll have to go online and figure out when it is, because I forget. Tuesday nights at 6:30. There it is. Show up to large group and let's talk about the message. Let's talk about what really God is doing in your life and how to flesh out what we talk about on Sundays. And so if you haven't found your group yet, this is an incredible group for men and for women. We're going to meet together. We're going to do some break-off stuff, but come. There will be childcare. Yeah, there will be childcare. This is the group for you. If you are new to small groups and new to groups and you're like, I don't know about it, I promise you, this is the group for you. So get connected with it. Tuesday nights at 6:30. It starts this week. Today we are in part 3 of our series, You Asked For It. And today we're going to talk all about relationships. Relationships. Everybody say we need each other. I had a conversation last week with a guy who's been in our church for a long time. He's leading one of the, him and his wife are leading one of the small groups. And he told me something, because he has been a consistent, him and his wife have been a consistent leader in this like 40 plus age group for a while now. And I was just encouraging him at the table last week, and I was like, man, I just love that you guys always do this. You're just so faithful to really pastor this group of people. And he said something to me that it was for this weekend. I don't even know if he's here or if he's going to be here today, and I didn't even ask his permission, but I don't care. Because he told me, he's like, when we started coming to this church back in the theater days, which we just helped the church launch in a theater today. I love that. Evan talked about it earlier. But back in the theater days, he showed up, and there's a lot of young people in our church at the time, as there is right now, and he started having a conversation with another couple who was kind of around the same age group and in the upper 40s, and was like, I feel like we're the only ones. And that couple communicated something to him, and he said, no, you're not alone. There's way more of us than you think there are. And what they started to do was get together as a group. But it was the thing that he said that I realized, I'm not the only one. Can I tell you about the power of relationships and the power of groups and the power of having people around you? It's that right there. It's for you to learn that, oh, wait, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. Ecclesiastes 4, 9 through 12 say 2 people are better than one, for they can help each other succeed. If one person falls, the other can reach out and help, but someone who falls alone is in real trouble. Likewise, two people lying close together can keep each other warm. How can one be warm alone? A person standing alone can be attacked and defeated, but two can stand back to back and conquer. In fact, three are even better. For a triple braided cord is not easily broken. Here's what I know about the enemy is that he operates, one of his greatest tactics is isolation. And isolation is quickly followed by shame. And if he can get us alone, if he can take us out, we're done for. But if we're together, if we're standing back to back with somebody else, if we've got people around us, we can make it. Ephesians 4:16 says, "For from him the whole body, us, joined and held together by every supporting ligament, grows and builds itself up in love, as each part does its work." Together, when the body of Christ realizes that we are meant to do this together, and we get connected to each other, and we have people around us, and we're not off on our own trying to do our own thing or trying to make it through this life, something incredible happens. We become the body of Christ. That's who we're meant to be. Today what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite up my wife, my beautiful wife. Babe, go ahead and come on up here. Would you just honor my wife? We're going to be over here. My wife is the brains behind this place. Can I just tell you that? You don't see that a lot, but we've asked 4 of our closest friends to join us on stage. They're going to join us in just a second. But these 4, the 6 of us, we began a relationship while serving together. We did not know each other. My wife and I, we started the youth ministry here over 10 years ago. And these 4 crazies were like, hey, we want to be a part of that. And just by serving together, we developed, honestly, something really special. So church, I'm going to ask you if you would, because some of them do this professionally, some of them don't, okay? And they're a little freaked out. So can you just stand and honor my friends, Josh and Rachel Wells, and Nick and Laura Garn? Would you come up to the stage, please? Come on. So just to introduce, everybody say hi. You guys want to say hi? So I don't know if we've ever done this before, okay? But like for real, like this is not going to feel like a normal message. We are just going to really put on display for you as best we can something that we've discovered, you guys. And that really is the power of relationships. And just to introduce them, so Nick and Laura Garn, and there's a really weird dynamic that we all have too, because like so Nick is a part owner of Zionsville Eye Care, Carmel Eye Care. My wife works for Nick, okay, right? Nick and Laura serve on the board here, okay. So I'm accountable to Nick and Laura on a board level. I'm also all their pastor. So Josh and Rachel work on our staff. And so there's this incredible, really 360-degree like respect and connection that we all have, and we are the very best of friends as well. We've learned how to do ministry, life, and work with friends. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, it's interesting because how much our relationship has changed really in 10 years. Because when we all started getting together, which was us approaching and saying like, hey, you guys seem really cool. And like, it just kind of worked out working. Really, we sucked them into the revolution. We're like, you guys would be awesome at working with teenagers. They're like, and I'm like, just trust us, it's fine. But we started with 1 kid among us, which was Adeline. And now we have 9 kids between us. And it's crazy because we have walked through so much together. We've walked through death. We've walked through infertility. We've walked through best friend things outside of this group, working through other relationships. We've worked through work issues. We've walked through all kinds of things that you can imagine in that 10-year span. So our relationship is not at all what it was 10 years ago, but I wouldn't give anything for all of what we have right now.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. I want to say this, and then we're going to get to some questions that I'm going to let them answer. And you guys freaking out? You guys good? You're good. Come on. Here's what I know. Ephesians 5:13 says this: everything exposed by the light becomes visible, and everything that is illuminated becomes light. Not is lit, it becomes light. And so what I think what these relationships have taught us is how to just keep everything visible. And and that's what our attempt is today, to put this on display. Because here's what I know. If isolation and shame are the greatest tactics of the enemy, then community and vulnerability are the greatest strategies for the freedom that we are looking for. And we have discovered that in this relationship. So I want to hear from you guys. What has our relationship, our friendship over the last 10 years taught you specifically about relationships? And can I just tell you, hey, I sent them these questions this morning.
While I'm trying to get 3 kids ready for church.
Because I wanted the raw answers. I didn't want anything polished. So let's do it. What is this relationship, our friendship over the last 10 years, taught you about relationships?
Someone's going to go first. It's a great idea.
You've got to have them. You've got to have them. I have never experienced anything like this, and even just amongst the two of them, that's kind of where it started, and then it kind of grew between all of us, obviously, but it's unreal, when you can find your people. I know Sunshine talked a lot about that this weekend with the women, and it is so true, and they may change through seasons, and some are meant to go, the long haul, but it is so important, and it is life-changing. So find your people, and don't give up on it. There is someone. Share your story. It starts with sharing your story. Some people connect, some people don't. Pretty quickly usually, but just find your people, because it changes everything.
I'll say something if you want. I guess I'll say something. I feel like one of the things that I have learned the most from this relationship is how important it is to really be honest and to have a place. It's amazing to have a safe place where you can actually say, you said that and that made me really mad. And it's taken a long time. It is not something that happens overnight at all. And every now and then we still bring up, remember when you said that one time? Why are we still talking about that? And we still go there, and we are still learning about all of this. But it's so true. When you let it out, when you shine the light on it, then it has no power anymore. Then there's no place for that annoyance to fester, because you put it out there. So that's one thing I've really learned in this group.
For me, it was years of I had all my friends and she had some friends and all this, and it was tag along, and
I was mostly just waiting around at home, hey, my boyfriend's gonna call me, and he never did.
oh man. Hey, let's be real, but let's not be too real, okay? Gosh,
here it comes.
Man, what are we doing here? But sometimes, that cliche of I don't know if God's opening this door. Sometimes he just slams the door open and there never was a door. It's just they're coming in whether you want it or not. They were placed in our backyard. You heard that right? In our
They were placed in our backyard.
Our fence opened to their house. We didn't know them, and that's how we met. And then we started serving, and we're yeah, they're pretty cool. And we just started going to their house every night, and that's what it looked like.
Literally.
Yeah. No, literally. I'm a pretty kind of reserved. I can be extroverted on stage with a microphone in my hand. But
That's about it.
Yeah. I don't really want to be around anybody. And God put Josh. I do love people. I really do love people. I promise you. I always have to, but I just really get energized without people. Okay. And so God put Josh in my life, who literally just like comes in the back door all the time. Should I tell the story?
Yes.
Hold on, what?
Which one?
Man, go ahead.
I don't know if I've ever told this story publicly. Maybe I have one. Okay, so these are being recorded and video recorded as well. So we want to be visible for you. We want you guys to see what kind of relationship this is. And so this is early on. Again, the only kid between us, I believe at that time, is Adeline, and we lived in their backyard, fine, whatever. And they're hanging out, and it was like, I don't know, it was either like late at night or a Sunday afternoon or something. And I was just like, you know what, like, hey, peace out. I'm gonna go take a nap because like you guys can hang out. I need to go sleep. So I went in the bedroom, took a nap. I'm like in between that, like in and out of sleep, like I'm dozing, and like somebody gets in bed with me. I'm just thinking it's my wife. Okay? And hey, we're married, whatever. And so like I put my hand on her thigh, just kind of start moving it, and I'm like, that is not my wife's thigh. I was like, get out of my, what are you doing? Josh had crawled in bed with me just to be Josh.
Don't picture that too much.
Right.
Let's get back to that original question that Nick was going to answer. Go ahead, Nick.
I think we all kind of had that best friend or best friends growing up, and you just kind of tell that person everything. But as you get older, it's harder to kind of maintain relationships that are completely whole, completely open to everything. And I think as adults, we tend to compartmentalize our relationships with people at work or at church or at this or at that. And the interactions you have with them are somewhat related a lot of times to those specific situations. Well, here, it's obvious, we're so entwined with each other's lives in different levels and in different ways, you kind of are forced to be open about everything that's involved in your life in all those different areas. So it's just it's great. It's like getting back to the original best friend thing. Like we all know each other's junk in every area that of each other's lives. So it's totally cool.
And Nick, I think you and I probably.
Pun intended there, I guess. They're like, you might as well feed it.
Okay. I think you and I probably struggle with this even more than the rest. This like, and don't look at us and think that like, well, man, it must just be easy for them to always be open with each other. Like Nick and I like we have to force it to like, no, I need to
even
talk
real
about
recently.
even very recently. And it's hard, but again, to what Laura said, we have that safe place that we know like it's awkward and we can be awkward, but it's good because it's healthy for us. Anything else? Okay. How has this relationship helped your marriage and your parenting? They're actually really mad at me that I didn't prep them better for this. I just want you to know that.
So as far as parenting, we usually, like, I told Sunshine from the beginning, like, so we have 7, 5, and we just have a newborn, so she's pretty sweet, and she doesn't get in any trouble yet. But Eden and Sunshine have this special little bond, and it's a beautiful thing. But from the beginning, even just watching her raise Adeline, and I am super thankful for the way I was raised. I was brought up in church, and a beautiful home, really. My parents are going strong. They're here today. I'm so happy to have them. They got my little girl, so don't go bug them. But so the way Sunshine parented was just so interesting to watch. Like, I'd never really seen that. No, in a good way. Like, come on, Adeline is amazing, 11, and just a beautiful, beautiful young woman. But the way she parented, I'm like, man, like that is, it was just cool. Like, I hadn't seen parenting done that way. Not just because like I was amidst of it. When I was being raised, like, I was the one, they were parenting me, so I wasn't paying attention to it. But to watch someone else raise a daughter like that just really changed everything for me. So I knew, as we grew in numbers, that I'm like, no, I'm going to parent like Sunshine does. Like, she just was an incredible mom. She really is. And but now, these days, with Eden especially, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna tell Sunshine. So now I just kind of use it to like, do you want me to tell No, don't tell Sunshine. I'm like, I know I'm the mom and I should have that under control. But sometimes you can just use your friends to like bounce that off. Like it takes an army, like it takes all of us, and we're all like, yep, you tell my kids whatever you want. I'm not gonna cross you. Like, we let them do that, and you'll find if you're here for any length of time and you have a lot of kids and get a little comfortable with it, we all do that. Like, and you got to be okay with it. Like, let your guard down. Like, we're not trying to cross you, and we're not gonna go and beat your kids or anything like that. Sometimes I'm like, hey, beat them if you need to, but like, seriously, like, just let others help you raise your kids, because this is the next generation, and you're in a good place to let that happen. So, seriously.
I want to say something about the marriage component. How has this relationship helped our marriage? So what's funny specifically is me, Josh, and Nick are more alike, I think, than me being more like Rachel or Laura. And so and Rachel's always going to have Ryan's back no matter what happens. Like, if you're mad at Ryan, do not come to Rachel. You can come to any of us, but not Rachel. She'll be like, well, I don't care what he did. You know, like, whatever, I just let it be. But what's helpful to me a lot of times, especially if there's something that I don't understand about the way he's living his life or processing or whatever. And of course, I'm going to be like, well, Ryan, this, and this. And to hear their perspective, specifically Laura and Rachel's perspective, usually I'm trying to be, not always immediately, but usually I come around, that I'm like, that's probably how Ryan feels. Like hearing them talk about their own marriages, because I know. And then there have been times where you guys have said, I bet that's how Nick or Josh feels, and so it's just been really interesting to see our spouse through the lens of someone else. It helps me specifically to be more empathetic towards my spouse, because I'm like, okay, that's probably how they feel, and I'm not so like burning angry at them. They're just presenting it in a new light, and then I can go back and be like, you know what, you're probably seeing it this way, and I just didn't hear you. I'm not necessarily sorry. I won't go that far, but no, just kidding.
Yeah. I will say there's a lot of guilt involved in that, because I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be your friend, like I'm supposed to have your back, but I'm like, I don't get it. Like I get you, like I'm sorry. So forgive me.
No, I got it.
But again, back to the safe place thing. Here, the fact that I know, because there may be some of you that are like, you're so private that like you don't want your marriage talked about in any environment outside of the two of you. And if I can kind of press on that a little bit, again, you don't need to go airing your marriage issues to people who don't have your back or your best interest at heart or the best interest of your marriage at heart. Okay? Can I say that again? You do not need to be talking about your marriage to anybody who does not have your marriage's best interest at heart. And what I know is that I know these are safe places, whether Sunshine needs to talk to Rachel and Laura or Nick and Josh about we know, we all trust each other, and I don't question that at all.
I think it's just like, I cut you off, I'm sorry.
You're good.
I think it's just like sometimes your kids, like you tell them, you've been telling them something for what seems like years, and then someone else says something and they're like, guess what I learned today? And you're like, really? Wow. Was that God? You said. Spouses are no different. We got thick skulls, and sometimes it takes hey, guess what I learned? And she's like, I'm glad. Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say that it's just cool that, so Ryan mentioned that sometimes we'll have smaller conversations, not the six of us necessarily, but usually in your marriage fight, you're with another couple and you're afraid to actually go all the way there. We're not afraid to go all the way there in front of each other. So Sunshine will call, all right, marriage ref. Okay, now you have your argument, and then we'll kind of work it out. So we're not afraid to go there, and I think it's important that you've had people that you can go all the way there with.
Yeah. Let's piggyback off of that. Let's talk real quick. Conflict in between this group. When you do life together and share your life the way that we do, we're all very unique personalities, and we can kind of rub each other the wrong way, and let's just, I don't really have a specific question, but like, let's talk, like, how do we handle conflict, I guess?
One of the greatest lessons I have learned is how to get along with people that are so very different than me. I've said so many times, like, in high school, I would have been like, that Josh Wells, like everything about his personality. Oh, I love him. He's like my brother. But when I was younger, there's no way our personalities would just clash. Sunshine and I are complete opposites. We, to this day, say, how are we even friends? And it really is this term that we kind of throw around, but it's not something to be thrown around. It is a divine flow of love between all of us that we just said, hey, I want somebody, and God put this together. But when there is conflict, I'm the first one. I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to say anything. And then, if she's annoying me, well, maybe not the first. Rach and I are both kind of like that, and kind of like Ryan, but he's gotten over that a little bit, maybe. But, I'll say to Rach or Nick, like, oh, and Sunshine said this, but no, it's not. Sometimes it's you, sometimes it's him, whatever. Because really, I feel like I have learned a lot about our conflict management by learning how to manage conflict with them, because it is that close relationship. So we do go to each other about each other. There was a season in Sunshine's life when she was in a different work situation that Rach and I would be like, we're going to stage an intervention. Like, where is she? I haven't heard from her. Like, she said this, and that made me mad. Has she said anything to you? And we literally got really close sometimes about confronting her about things. And, it always worked out, but it really is that, like, you can process through it and get to the point where you can talk about it, but you have to talk about it. And I don't know that we've ever sat and said this, but we're saying it, and we all know it's true. Like, we will resolve everything between all of us because we have to, because we know how precious this is for all of us.
We were in Nick and I were in a little bit of a conflict last week, and we were kind of chatting back and forth through some stuff, and literally this was when was it, last Friday night? Like, Laura was out, and I was like, okay, honestly, Laura, tell me, am I coming off arrogant? And she was like, yeah, kind of. I'm like, no, I'm not.
But to that night, we were at our house, and literally, I work so closely with Nick, and I live with Ryan, that I'm like, I can't handle you two. I'm going to need you to figure this out. Did you guys hug it out yet? And they're like, we don't want to talk about it. I'm like, oh, we're talking about it, like, tonight in front of everyone, or you can figure it out yourselves. But this is getting out. There's too much at stake for us to not resolve that conflict. Like, our kids are watching us. Our kids and their friends are watching. Wow, look what they have. And let me just say this. I used to feel almost like, it's not ashamed or like embarrassed that I had found my people, but I didn't want to disclude anyone else. And so I was almost, and you guys all know this about me, my includer, I'm like, let's just bring 9 other couples, guys, it's fine. And they're like, Sunshine, it's just us. I'm like, it can be just us. But really, it's good for us to protect the time that we have. But I'm not afraid anymore to say, like, hey, they're my people. Like, if I die, they're going to raise my kids. Why am I ashamed of that? And so I think it's important to have those people and be okay saying, these are your people.
Yeah.
I don't think, coming off that, like, I don't think the conflict is as hard when there's intimacy in a relationship. Right. In your marriage, when everything is good, it's not hard to have the difficult conversations. When we are intentional about getting together, it's not that hard to have the conversations. When we've been apart, we start to, yeah, I'm the feeler, so I'm always feeling what's in the room, and I'm like, it's me, isn't it? I did it, didn't I? What'd I say? But when we're intentional and we have that time together, you hear each other differently. You give each other the benefit of the doubt. It's easier to forgive and love.
That's huge. Josh and I were talking yesterday, because it's a core value of our church that we do life together. We do life together. You've heard us talk about that. We do life together. That's what we're called to do. But I've been kind of changing that a little bit, that we share our lives with each other. Yeah. We share our lives with each other, because it means a little something different. And that's when we share time together, we share conflict together, we share our joys together, our frustrations, our stress. We share it all. I love this. I love this group. One more question I want to throw at you, and then we're going to close. We could probably talk for hours. We could, because we do. Proverbs 27:17 says, as iron sharpens iron, so one man or one person sharpens another. What is one way that you have been sharpened by this group? I'll start. How about that? I'll start. They're always fun. Can I just give it one word? Fun. I'm a very serious person. I think being serious is fun. What do you do for fun? What do you mean? I'm having fun right now. Don't I look like it? But they force me out in the open. They force everything to be visible, and they force me to have fun because I know I need it to loosen up and to not take myself or really life so seriously. That's my answer. Beat that.
Yeah. They force you into it sometimes, and that's okay. That's not a bad thing. But like they've really forced me to think. I think, and I've kind of dealt with some insecurities. Not that I feel like I'm a pretty self-confident person, but there are some insecurities like we've all got, and they've kind of forced me into those, and they push you to your fullest potential. And that's really like that's a constant thing. And so the dynamic between us all, but especially even between the girls, like. It's so cool to watch because like Laura's like this awesome, like she asks really good questions and she's like this mediator, but she's still kind of like she sides with you and she's like she just walks along beside you, and Sunshine's over here and she's like she's gonna ask all the hard questions and she's gonna be like, no, like you need to do this and da 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 da, and like and I'm like it's interesting because when you get in certain situations, you know who to go to. Like, do I go to? Oh, I need to take this to Sunshine. Like, this needs to go to Laura. Like, whatever. And they do the same with me. But if they just need to, like, I don't know. This is probably insecurity, but I'm like, I don't have a lot to say. But I'm like, you just need to tell me. Yeah, I'm like pretty unbiased. Like, I'm like, here's what I think. Like, I'm learning to use my voice a little bit more in that. Probably why they put me on the stage, but yeah, so it's super interesting, the dynamic, and you just learn who to go to, but that really, the biggest point of that is they push you. Like, they force you, they push you to your fullest potential. I'm thankful for that, as much as we hate it when we're trudging through it, but we're like, okay, whatever, I'm probably supposed to do this, but yeah, so.
A lot of the newer cars have these little monitors on your side mirror when there's a car coming up and you can't quite see them, right? Your little blind spots. And we use that term with each other quite a bit. Hey, is this a blind spot for me? And they're open to watch out for that. And from a sharpening perspective, I mean, that's just huge because sometimes I'm just barreling straight ahead towards whatever career goal it may be or professional thing it may be or church thing it may be. And they're going, dude, you left this, and this back here. You forgot about this. You left your wife behind, by the way. And so they're huge at monitoring those blind spots for us. And so,
I'll say, to kind of piggyback off that and what Rach said, I have had several friendships in the past of like 3 women. And in certain situations, it's like when my daughter, who's 7, she wants to have a play date, and she's like, I want to invite these 2 girls, and I'm thinking, no, because then I'm going to have to manage as one of them being left out, and I feel like even, into my 30s, there are times that I still feel that way. Like if I'm with 2 other women, well, are they closer? Do they have a different friendship? And that's one thing that it probably took me the longest to get over it, but I would be like, well, Sunshine and I are talking about this. Okay, Rach, we need to fill you in. Well, here's the thing. Sunshine and I could pick one issue. We could talk about it, every single thought we have ever had about it for like 12 hours. And Rach would be like, stop talking. Like she's like, I just can't hang with you guys. I cannot go there. And so just learning all of that it's okay. We are all still that close. We don't always have to say, okay, I have to tell you this and I have to tell you that, because we do have that intimacy and we know that we have each other's back. So there's never a like, oh man, they got to, like, honestly, when they used to live in each other's backyards, and we live in Zionsville, we do not see them. They don't even see each other as much anymore now that they don't live in each other's backyards. But back then, it was a lot of times like, we don't see them that much. But it never felt like that when we were all together, like, oh, well, we don't live here, so we didn't know. No, it's just like, we got it. We're all together, no matter where we live, no matter what the situation is.
Did you have something? Well, the last thing I just wanted to say about sharpening each other is that when you have a group of people, or even two people, it's not even about 6. It's about just one other person. What's so cool about it is I can go through, we don't have time, but I could go through right now and tell you how each of these represent a component of God in my life, and how He is stirring something inside of me through each of them. But it's all different. And it's like He knows how to use each of their personalities and their wirings and their backgrounds and what they bring to the table to stir and sharpen me in a specific way. And so I just want to point that out, that every single person who God has placed in your life, their background, all the things they bring to the table, God's going to use those things because He's sovereign, and He will use those things to birth inside of you things that you didn't even know needed to exist, or things you needed to grow in that you didn't even know you were not grown in. And I just want to encourage you to kind of what Ryan started this whole thing is your vulnerability, and just show up and say, this is me. Here you go. This is me. And be willing and be open and be honoring to the fact that God has set up a system of relationships to share your lives with one another. And so I just wanted to point that out, that each of you, and you know this, sharpens me in a different way than any of the other ones. And don't try to be each other. So like, Rach could never try to sharpen. She'll say, well, Laura would say this. I'm like, I already know, that's why I'm coming to you. But like, don't try to position yourself, Rach, like Laura, and that same thing for you and other people's life. Just be you. Just be what God has asked you to be for them.
Yeah. That's good. We're out of time. Hey, can you give it up for them? Come on. Take have a seat. Worship team, would you guys go ahead and come on up? Thank you guys for being willing to do that. Thank you for being gracious on them and letting us have that conversation. And it was really important for us to be able to share that with you, because we believe that relationships matter. And our very simple challenge to you is this: find your people. Find your group of people. If you have a group of people like that, great. You don't need to find a new one. Like, find a group of people who are like-minded, different, but like-minded, who are pushing you forward, challenging you like Rachel was talking about, who can represent those different components, things that God wants to do in your life, like Sunshine was talking about. We have to surround ourselves with people, because that is how God operates, through His body, to do the work that He wants to do in us and through us. Would you bow your heads all over this place? Running a few minutes over today, but I don't care how much we run over. We will always give time for this, because it doesn't matter what relationships you have in your life. They all are meant to grow from one relationship. And that is your relationship with God. That God sent His Son Jesus to die on a cross for us so that we could have a relationship with Him. How incredible that we, as finite human beings, flesh and blood that we are, that the God of the universe wants a relationship with each and every one of us. That's available to you. And you will find there is no other relational component in your life as important as that one. And if you're here today and you don't have a relationship with God, but you know you're ready to begin one, you want that, you're ready to give Him control of your life, let Him have the place that He wants in your life, to be Lord, to be Savior. We're not going to embarrass you at all, but we're going to pray a prayer in just a moment and give you that opportunity. And with every head bowed, every eye closed, I'm going to count to 3 in just a moment. And I'm going to ask you to just boldly slip up your hand and say, that's me today. You say, I'm ready to begin a relationship with God. I don't want to leave here. I don't want to go back into my world without that relationship that you don't have to do anything to earn. He gives it freely because He loves you. If that's you today, the count of 3, let me see your hand. 1, 2, 3. You're ready to begin a relationship with God. Yeah. Come on, I see that. That's awesome. You can put your hands down. Come on, church. church, let's pray this out with those who are making this decision today. Those of you who raised your hand, come on, pray it with boldness. Say, Jesus, right now, I give you my life. I give you control. Forgive me for all my sins and for trying to do life my way. I believe you died for me and you rose from the dead to give me new life. I receive it now. In Jesus' name, amen.